Greetings, and welcome to A Year of Movies, a Planet Geek production. For this project, we are using the Ivan Walters reference book of 365 films to watch on the day they happened. Each day, we watch a movie associated with the date we are watching it on.
And as it is the 7th of August, we will be watching Gallipoli from 1981, directed by Peter Weir and starring Mark Lee. So I've seen this movie popping up on wartime movies all the time, and knowing that it is a early 80s Australian film. Other than that, the fact that it's an early Mel Gibson movie as well is probably the only thing I really knew about this movie. That being said, this was definitely my first time watching this movie. And like I'd already mentioned, not only does this movie star Mark Lee, but it also stars Bill Kerr, Harold Hopkins, Charles Yannick-Pingu, Heath Harris, Ron Grain, and Mel Gibson. Archie and Frank, played by Mark Lee and Mel Gibson, are two young Australian sprinters who want to join the army to fulfill their sense of duty. Turned down because they are too young, the pair hop a freight train to Perth, where they are allowed to join up. They board a troop ship heading to Cairo, and after training in the shadows of the Great Pyramids, the boys finally are sent to the front line, where their speed makes them candidates for messengers in one of the war's bloodiest battles. So as I've gotten used to the biographies and sports movies and the plethora of war films that this list has brought me, this is one that had probably in the back of my subconscious always like, I keep seeing this movie's title, might as well eventually get around to seeing it. Now that I have, I'm glad I did for this project, but I don't really see what the big deal is about. I mean, I understand we're dealing with a growing film industry in Australia. We have some great patriot moments towards Australia and all that. So I have nothing against Australia and all that. It is during a very tumultuous time in the history, and like the early 1900s, like 1915 and all that. And the war that they're involved with really isn't, it's a war. I mean, wars ultimately are not the greatest things to be reflective of the human race. But I will admit, seeing this young Mark Lee and a young Mel Gibson, they are very charming on screen. They shine very brightly in this movie. Again, we're dealing with going through not only for the running, as we start off with Mark Lee's Archie Hamilton character as he trains to become a great sprinter, and eventually meeting up with Frank Dune, which is Mel Gibson later on. The two of them becoming buddy-buddy because of their ability to run really fast. The idea behind the movie is being like sort of an anti-war sort of a look upon the experience that these characters are going through. And it's definitely something that is most forward when you're actually watching this. You do realize that this is probably the last thing that should be happening, and it should be a final thing to do instead of a very first thing, which is what we figure out through this, is that this is like their first confrontation, that's go to war sort of thing. But that being said, it's a well worth the watch, I will admit. It is kind of cool to see the era and the culture of Australia coming forward through this, and it's definitely not a waste of the time that I had watched the movie, unlike some movies on this list that I've run into that are just like a slog to walk through. Again, it also might be that whole entire youthful acting, because it's still Australian voices coming through to a North American audience was still at the time a very newish thing. So it's a big monumental moment within this movie that on the 7th of August 1915 is when Major Barton, played by Bill Hunter, charges Archie to be the runner for the regimental commander. And at one point, the third charge is canceled, and because of downed radio lines, it is basically a race between life and death for Frank as one of the other runners to relay the information. And that happens at 1 hour and 33 minutes into this 1 hour and 50-minute movie. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this particular episode and look off into the future to see what we're going to watch for tomorrow, which is the 8th of August, and that is going to be Buster from 1988. So until next time, go see a movie.